is free stuff in Key West. Yeah, I know. You're wondering what? So, there are free things to do in Key West, and I am Michelle with Fun in Key West, and I am here to tell you all about the free things that you can do in Key West. It's First Timer Friday, so you know what? Maybe you've been coming to Key West for 10 times, 50 times, whatever. But we all know that being budget friendly is a goal of any traveler. And so, what I am going to do is run through some of these things that don't cost a dime once you're in Key West. Now, to get to Key West, that's a different story. But let's talk about fun and free things to do in Key West. Well, first, we talk about this on every Historic Marker Monday. Go walk around. Walking around Key West doesn't cost you a dime. You can check out those historic markers. You can learn the stories of all about Key West and the people who founded Key West. You can walk through the historic neighborhoods. You can walk down Duval. You can check out those historic neighborhoods. You can see all those conch houses. You can check out Bahama Village. Truman Annex is just a joy to walk through. You can do the historic seaport. I mean, there are so many things to explore just walking around. It's not just exercise, make it an adventure. You know, as you explore Duval Street, it's great for people watching. You can visit the art galleries. It doesn't cost you anything to go in and just look at the art. And you know what? There's usually some sort of street performers or somebody out showing off their fun. I do recommend tipping them, so that part isn't exactly free, but it's fun. There used to be a brochure out there called the Pelican Path Site Self-Guided Tour. It was created by the Old Island Restoration Organization. They're now over in the oldest home on Duval. They may still have some of those. If not, grab a city map from the Chamber of Commerce. It's a great thing just to orientate yourself as you're walking around. There's a lot of charming and Insta-worthy places to stop along the way as you're walking around Duval. Check out some of the iconic landmarks. This won't cost you a penny. You can check out the southernmost point. Here's the tip. Early bird is going to get those photos and you're not going to have to stand in line. So if you're up early, walk over to the southernmost point, get that Instagram-worthy photo over at the buoy. Another thing that's interesting to check out is the kapok tree. This is a really cool tree. It has these root systems that just wrap around and they do all kinds of fun. And it looks like from another world, but they're indigenous to the rainforest. It's at Whitehead and South Streets. And take your photos. Learn all about the tree. Come back and tell all your friends, hey, look what I learned all about trees. You can head out down White Street Pier and head out onto the Edward B. Knight Pier. So it's the same pier. It's just been renamed. So if you know it is the White Street Pier, then you head out there. From my best guess, I think it's about 1,000 feet. You walk out into the Atlantic Ocean. You get great views, breezes, and sometimes there's some street performers over there. Nearby there, you can check out the AIDS Memorial. There's also the Africans Cemetery, and that's at Higgs Beach. And that cemetery, it's the site of the burial for the victims of the slave ships, and you can learn all about how that occurred and what they found in all of their archaeological digs over there. You can also check out the Key West Garden Club and West Martello Tower. So this was a Civil War era fort, and now the Garden Club uses it. It's free to get in, although it's nice to give them a donation. You can walk around and just check out what they're doing over there. There used to be a lot more and a very large tree there. With Hurricane Irma, unfortunately, we lost a lot of that, but it's such a great place to explore. What about culture and curiosities? So you have the Key West Cemetery, that's free to walk through. So you can start at the northwest corner near Angela Street and grab a free map. There's a small office there and you can grab a map there. And then it'll point you around to some of the quirky epitaphs, the historic sections, and of course those local legends that are taking their final rest there at the cemetery. St. Paul's Episcopal Church on Duval Street, I think, is a gorgeous church. It's free to walk in. It's open daily. It has beautiful stained glass. And be respectful, but it's free to walk in and check out. The San Carlos Institute is rich in Cuban American history, and so you can check that out. It should still have a free museum and art gallery there, and of course the Cultural Center. Of course, it doesn't cost anything to go window shopping as you're wandering around, checking out the boutiques and all the fun art galleries. That doesn't cost you anything at all. There aren't any free ghost tours, but there's lots of ghost stories. So if you go on a ghost tour, then you can take your time and wander through and revisit some of those places that are rumored to be haunted and see what you find. Of course, you can explore nature and wildlife on a very slim budget. You have the Key West Wildlife Center, and that's near the Indigenous Park, and that's a rescue center for birds and chickens. And it's open dailies, except I think Wednesdays, so double check on that. There used to be a turtle museum over in the Seaport. I think with a lot of the moving around of buildings, I'm not 100% sure it's ours anymore, but double check over there. While Fort Zachary Taylor State Park charges a fee to get in, the outside grounds, it's before you start to come into the park, those are free. Of course, Smathers Beach is a beautiful beach, and it's free beach access to go over there. Checking out food fun and some local flavor for free. Okay, Cuban Coffee Queen, I know that's not free, and you know that's not free, but if you're staying in a hotel that has free coffee, grab that free coffee on your way out to then go explore. So that's an option. That's if you're on a really strict budget. I would hope that you could actually make some room in your budget to grab a Cuban coffee. Key West First Legal Rum Distillery, they still have some free tours available, and you can take and they also offer free samples. You can go over there. The mojito class is not free. It does have a charge to it, but it's well worth it. And you can see all about how they transitioned and were able to be part of the community efforts during the pandemic, where they made hand sanitizer, and they also helped in the efforts with Hurricane Irma. Sunsets, parks, and public art. There we go. These are some fun things to explore for free. Of course, Mallory Square Sunset Celebration, that is free. Starts usually about an hour before sunset, ends about an hour afterwards. I always encourage people to tip the performers while you're there. Depending on what time of year you're there, the sun may set behind Sunset Key, so you can head over down to Simonton Beach and check out the sunset there. Truman Waterfront Park is beautiful to walk through. They have a free splash pad if you're traveling with kids. It's beautiful, it's peaceful. If you want to watch sunset off of the U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Ingham, there will be a small nominal fee for that. You do have the historic sculpture garden, and I always encourage people to check this sculpture garden out. It's as you come out of Mallory Square or going into Mallory Square, it's there. There's about 30 busts and they tell the stories of the founders of Key West, and you get an idea of who they were and sort of what they look like. And then you can start to make those connections as you're walking through Key West and checking out those historic markers. We've talked about free parking. Parking is probably not going to be very free anywhere near Old Town, but we talk about parking. Go check out the guides on parking over on FunInKeyWest.com. You'll learn all about the do's and don'ts of parking. Here's some only in Key West things that you can do. Twice a month on Sundays, I think it's the second and the fourth Sunday, the Sheriff's Animal Farm. It's a petting zoo, and I think they have a goat and lemurs, and who knows what all you'll see over there. But that's free. Go check out the petting zoo. And be sure, while you're over at FunInKeyWest.com under things to do, check out the calendar of events. Every month we keep that updated so that you are in the know of what's happening in Key West, and some of those things are free. What are your top things to do or that's free in Key West. I love walking around Key West. I love trying to find all of the poetry on the sidewalks. That is a great thing to check out. Of course, I do love sunset at Mallory Square. There is no trip to Key West that does not include a sunset celebration. So those are my things, but I would love to hear from you as to what your favorite free things to do in Key West are. Let me know. Love to hear what you guys have to say. We'll add it to this guide, and this guide will be updated and put over on FunInKeyWest.com. It'll also go on our YouTube channel, and it'll also become part of our podcast. So you will never be without information about Key West. I'm also encouraging you to check out our book club. We're 6 months in, and we're having so much fun over there. There's lots of chatter and everything on the private Facebook group. So sign up to be part of the Fun in Key West book club. In the meantime, happy First Timer Friday. I am Michele with Fun in Key West. You guys have a great one. Thank you for stopping by. So glad you're here. Always love to see you guys and hear from you. You guys have a great one. Talk to you later.